Peace. The Real HD Show is brought to you courtesy of Soundtrack Your Brand. Soundtrack Your Brand and its contractual relationship with ASCAP and BMI allows us to play all songs from their vast catalogs, all rights reserved. This broadcast does not deserve strikes from social media, copyright from social media algorithms for copyright violations. Pause. We have missions. That means Facebook, YouTube, uh, Twitch, Twitter. Do not cut this off because we have permissions. Email us. Let's have a conversation about it. Keep the show moving as it is intended to. The Real HD Show also comes to you courtesy of 17 USC 106 fair use. Videos used for educational purposes only. And now, The Real HD Show. Peace, everybody out there in the ethos. It is prime time with a purpose. Don't get nervous. We're going below the epidermis. It is the Real HD Show. What is the Real HD Show? It is the higher discussion. That's right. This is your forum where your voice is your victory. Here with your host, the Vic 7. And this is your forum to get on here and talk about all things our people all the time, all good. But in a lot of ways, we got a lot of cleaning to do. We got a lot of things to consider, and we got a lot of bridges to mend so that we can move progressively in the rest of this 21st century. You know what I'm saying? I'm here, you're there. Once again, I'm your host, Vic, and this is Prime Time with a Purpose, the Real HD Show. Please share this. And if you want to join the show, here are our call letters down here. If you want to join us live on stage and kick your willy bobo, kick your piece, talk your ish, you are allowed to. And we take all blind, crippling, crazy, melanated, magic, celebrated, or trolls as well. If you got something to say, we want you to get involved. We are the Real HD Show, StreamYard.com. QEQG5AYA7Z. Shout out to 100.9 FM WXIR RCTV. That's the root. That's the HQ. That's the headquarters. Shout out for y'all for hosting on the website, The Real HD Show, even though we can't be live in studio. And in case you missed it, man, we just got done with a set for our Freedom Music Moment, a whole half hour of really, really great music, man. You missed it. But in case you missed it, you can tune in every Monday and Wednesday at 7:30, and we will be jamming all our Freedom music from 7:30 to 8 o'clock. Here's the magic secret, though. Here's the secret sauce. The secret sauce is we can't play it live because then we get copyright strikes, we get shadow banned. But to let everybody know what was popping on the Freedom Music Moment, we had Soul Science Lab, Good to Be Alive. We had Earth, Wind, and Fire, Isley Brothers, and DeBarge on a 2022 remix of Better Love. We had her and Anderson .Paak in between. We had Common, For the People. We had Fields with Finesse, little Afro beats for you. We had Dead Prez, Walk Like a Warrior. And last but not least, we had the Headless Horsemen, the Four Horsemen, Razcast, Corrupt, Killer Priest, and Cannabis. rocking out with us. You know what I mean? And if you'd like to rock out with us, remember every Monday and Wednesday at 7:30 on the live link. If you want to join us live, that means you got to put the link in the address bar, type it all in, or copy and paste it in, and we will let you come backstage with us, and we can jam out to this freedom music moment. And why do we do the freedom music moment? Why, you ask? Because we bring you all these chaotic headlines, but we heal it with freedom music. That's right. We bring you all that good news that you need to know and be aware of. You know what I mean? Because a rebel without a pause and without a strategy is like a chicken running around with his head cut off. You know what I mean? So as we bring you these holidays and we bring you these informationals, this stuff to keep you aware, to keep you healthy, wealthier, and wiser, we bring it to you and we try to heal you with freedom music. So stay tuned, spread it around, share this broadcast. I'll put the call letters back up. So if you guys want to jump on and get into what we're doing tonight. And what are we doing tonight? Well, what we're doing tonight is we are talking about Ye. Are we going to kick Ye off the island? What are we doing, man? The curious case of Kanye. That's what we're talking about, man. The curious case of Kanye Button. That's the discussion for the evening. You know what I'm saying? Let me pull it up and load it up so you guys don't think it's abrupt, but you actually know what's coming up. All right, here we go. Boom. Curious case of Kanye Button. Now, why are we discussing the curious case of Kanye Button? The reason why we're discussing the curious case of Kanye Button, which is right here, is because, you know, if you ever read any biblical texts and you heard about the Elohim and you hear about their fall from grace, Kanye's taking quite a tumble right now. Doesn't mean our brother can't recover. It just means that his case is very curious because as much as he's put his foot in his own mouth, there are other forces at play that's trying to determine Ye's position. You know what I mean? And just like we showed the article on Monday about how the CIA had to do with how rap and people within rap are and their trajectory throughout business and throughout their, you know, fiscal dealings, Ye is no different. Peace to brother Mozzie. What's going on, bro? How are you?
Brother, I'm doing good. How about yourself?
Good, man. Yeah, man, we got it, bro. A curious case of Kanye Button. Interesting, huh?
Interesting, but not interesting, man.
Yeah,
You
man.
know,
So you know
if
how
we're a
we do,
student
man.
of history,
You know
if we're a
how we do,
student of
man. Go
history,
ahead.
oh, I'm sorry, man. You know how it is when you get that lag in time and stuff.
Yeah, no, but you know, here it's not as simple as it seems because what do we do here on the Real HD show? We play chess, not checkers. Man. So we're not just gonna talk about the average piece here because everybody wants to talk about the average thing with Kanye. You know, is he running his mouth? Is he getting in trouble? Of course, we know that. And if we're gonna vote as a family to kick Kanye off the island, we better have good reason, and we better do our due diligence, and we better come up with some things that are salient, that are responsible, and hold ourselves accountable, just like we're gonna hold Kanye accountable. But go ahead, brother. I know you got something to say. Go ahead.
Oh no, Kanye's Kanye, man. I don't mean it
Mm-hmm,
like that, but we're gonna delve into it some more.
mm-hmm,
But the question is mental health issues in play with him? Because
mm-hmm.
his mother was a college professor. I think she was like an English professor.
Yes.
And so I'm assuming that the information that he has, he came about earnestly. But the problem becomes is that a lot of times we get surface information and surface knowledge. And what happens is we don't delve deep enough to where we can truly articulate the point to where we can present it in a way that it doesn't hurt us. And ever since Kanye's mother passed away, he kind of been a little some mental health stuff. Yeah, it's like his mind is elsewhere.
Yeah.
And then, of course, he hooked up with those vampires,
Ooh. Ooh.
and
Let's talk about it.
sold his soul to the devil. And
Mm.
just to maintain yourself within that stuff, man, is you got to engage in some craziness. I know he done seen some craziness and probably engaged in some craziness. So if you're already a little weak in the mind and got some stuff going on, man, you down in Hollywood with the vampires, and this is the kind of stuff that ends up happening, man. You start making off the wall comments.
Yeah. Yeah. Absolutely. Hey, man, Adi rocking on the Community Justice Initiative page, CJI. Hey, man, join us on the live link, man. Jump on here. I know who you are. You know what I mean? But either way, if you are, incapacitated with family and obligations, maybe at work, leave us a comment about what you think. Should we vote Kanye off the island? Does he no longer get a invitation to the barbecue? Or can we delve a little deeper and see what's going on with Mr. West and what's really, really popping? We got 5 rocking. We doing well, man. We on Facebook. We're on YouTube. We are on Twitch TV. We are on Twitter. We are on Mobcrush, on Trovo Live. We on a lot of different places. Catch us where you catch us. We are the Real HD Show, the higher discussion. And we want to have a higher discussion about Kanye because in a lot of ways, Kanye could be reflected in many, many instances that in many, many things that we do. Is Kanye a reflection of us? In a lot of ways. Does Kanye fall for the same banana in the tailpipe that many of us fall for? Is he that out of touch? Is he that are we more like him? Is he more like us? Can we be more forgiving? Do Kanye just need a hug? Let's talk about it. You know what I'm saying? Real HD Show. But Brother Mozzie brought up melanated health, right? So we have a melanated health moment, and we want to get to that, and we want to play a clip because we haven't done our mental health moment in quite a while. So we got a little ditty we want to show you guys in honor of our mental health moment. Shout out to Miss B. Come on back on the show, Miss B. We miss you. Hope everything's good in the A. You know what I mean? Holding down there with the family. And your son making music and all of that. And we want to see you here as soon as you have the availability to be here. So let's get to this mental health moment. It's a quick one. It's not long. We got a couple of quick articles we got to get to, and then we're gonna dive into Mr. West. Where is it? Okay, here we go. Melanated mental health moment, Real HD Show. Check it out.
It's the skin you're in that matters. You are consciously aware of being a Black person in America. Your system responds to that. I was not surprised that the pandemic had the disparate effects that it did on African Americans. I am the originator of John Henryism theory, which posits that repeated hierarchical coping over years, over decades, with very difficult life circumstances can really cause damage to the cardiovascular system and then eventually lead to high blood pressure, heart attacks, and strokes. The John Henryism theory takes its name from the legend of John Henry, the steel driving man.
Some said he was born in Texas, some said he was born in Maine, but I don't give a damn where that poor boy was born. He was a steel driving man. Lord, now he was a steel driving man.
John Henry engaged in an epic battle against a newly invented steam drill, and he beat the machine. But he dropped dead after his victory from complete mental and physical exhaustion. You have today, in 21st century America, so many African Americans who are caught up in a John Henryism situation, who are faced with real adversity, deepening economic hardship, loss of jobs, loss of health insurance, threats to one's sense of personhood, one's sense of dignity. The stress is enormous, and people don't give up. That persistence, working twice as hard, over time can really impair multiple physiological systems. By the time they're in their 20s and 30s and 40s, they're already having things like high blood pressure, diabetes, obesity. Now along comes the pandemic, and they are susceptible because of these underlying conditions, and yet they have to try to make a living. That's the John Henderson situation. It's on display.
Yeah, man, that was our mental health moment. The John Henry isms. Your thoughts, bro?
It's spot on. I mean, a lot of what happens to our people is we live under a constant terror. And so we find ourselves always in a world where we're stressed. I mean, and I always talk about to people, think about that brother, and here in Rochester is very unique in the sense that you had like your Xerox, your Kodak, and and Bar Shalom and all of them. And you talk to the average brother who is like our father's age and stuff like that, that when they came to Rochester to work for Xerox, Xerox never even showed them the inner city of Rochester. And a lot of them never even worked in the downtown office. So you think that, but these guys are paid well. They live what you would consider the perfect suburban life. But one of the things that you found and studies find is there was high levels of alcoholism as a coping mechanism of working in an all-white environment and being in the quote-unquote professional world, be it, the white-collar world, being a project engineer or an actual engineer or scientist or something like that. And you see a lot of these brothers, and you would think that they had the greatest lives. But when you literally sit down one day with some of these guys and that division that was created between, they got to feel like they're worth something. So, of course, they think they're better than the black folks who live in the city. So, if they can really sit down and break bread with you and talk to you, and I've been fortunate enough to know a few, they're like, yo, man, horrible life. Stressed, always got to be to work early, got to be to work late, always worried about your project always going under, or just the undue nature, the undue stress around doing the job because you always, as we've been told, have to be twice as good. And so what happens? These dudes are taking medication, their quality of life in the end, we think quality of life is being able to say that, you were on the French Riviera or, you went chilling down in Mexico. But a quality of life is just being able to know that you can run across the street and enjoy friends and family, to me. And the added bonus is being able to travel. But you see some of these brothers, man, they 60 years old and they're struggling to walk up the stairs.
Absolutely. When I saw the video, I thought of PTSD.
Mm-hmm.
And I thought of, if that has the effect on the body the way it does, it should certainly have the effect on the mind. And then if you add what Dr. Francis Cress Wilson added on and said, well, if it's affecting the mind and the body, and then of course, if you're doing it and you're receiving it over generations, and you're passing it down through birth, and through environment, through culture, and then through environment, then of course you're gonna run into the John Henry isms. Hey, everybody in the chat, everybody watching right now, tell us what you think of the John Henry isms as it pertains to melanated people and their mental health. That's what we try to offer here on the HD show. Check it out. Well, go ahead, bro.
And here's what happens too. Doctors say things like blood pressure is genetic, high blood pressure in Black people. And you're saying, But when you study it from an anthropological perspective, diseases, you find, well, yeah, it's genetic, because we're looking at what creates this so-called genetic adaptation that takes place. And what happens is we're living under terror. We're living under stress. We're living under terror. I mean, the things that we have to worry about, the general society don't have to worry about. So when your doctor sit there and say, yeah, this is genetic, they don't really take the time to study it. That's why sometimes, you have to go to some of your anthropologists and stuff like that who study it in a little different manner than they do. And they know it. And that's why they say sometimes really not much they can do about it. But that's also, too, when you look at Black people's baseline for blood pressure, it's different than the average white person's baseline.
Yes,
they
sir.
say you got to be 120 over 80, but for Black folks, your baseline might be 135 over 95.
Woo, too much.
And you still live to be 90 years old.
Too much. Yeah.
So our adaptation to the stress may cause for us to have numbers that are not normalized within white society. So yes, we have higher blood pressure, but is it that's what's killing us, or is it then we start taking all the medications?
Yes, sir. Check out Carl Jung and what he talked about in terms of and what he added on in terms of generational PTSD and generational things that that get passed on, generational, just like he made a point in one of his readings, right? And he says that just like someone would pass on a talent for a piano, or they would pass on a talent for anything that they would do, you could also pass on the detrimental things that happen with your body and mental health and PTSD. Hey, Darius Fat was good, bro. Hey, peace, bro. Long time, man. What's going on, brother?
Same stuff, different day, man. Just working hard, doing my thing,
Yes, sir. How's the school, man?
Everybody's doing well, man, just holding it down.
Yes, sir.
Running things,
Hey, HNIC. That's what I'm talking about. That's my brother right there. You know what I mean? We don't get to talk a lot, but it's always dope when he falls through. Brother Mozzie meet Sev meet Brother Mozzie. I think you guys together at another.
We met once before.
Yeah. So tonight, man, we just dealt with our melanated mental health moment, and we were talking about the John Henryisms and how John Henry passed away, being as mighty as he was, but of course it affected the heart, the lungs, the body, the brain. Your thoughts on PTSD as it occurred with the John Henryisms? Talk to us, bro.
So I like to come from a standpoint of something called telomeres. I don't know if you're familiar with that, but there's something on the double helix of your chromosome called telomeres, and stress and anxiety and all of those things can reduce your telomeres, where a young person, let's say a school-age person, can have a telomere of a 60-year-old, right? And your telomeres are your aging process, right? So it shows you how old you are. It's kind of like, determines how old you get at a specific time. And stress and trauma and all of those things is what reduces your telomere and kind of ages you faster than what you need to be aged. So they've been doing a lot of research into telomeres and how it's impacting students, and what they've come to see is that a lot of the genetic stress and trauma that, a lot of students exhibit have been passed on generationally. And that also contributes to your trauma and your stress. There's a great book, I think it's called Telomere or the Telomere Project or something like that. There's actually something called the Telomere Project, but there's a book on telomeres. I can't tell you the author right off the top of the head, but this is something that they're researching in, really, really in depthly. So people should look into that if they can.
No doubt, bro. I put it up there, and I put Jillian Michaels up there because she's a celebrity fitness trainer. But one of the main things, she talked to Gabrielle Sidibe, who played in Precious, and the dark skinned sister, the heavy dark skinned sister, and then she also talked to Lizzo, and she was talking to them about the science of telomeres and what it could do to the body, and how, you know, how you can, you know, how you should try to reduce your stress, but not also reduce your stress, but reduce your, you know, your overall weight and your overall, you know, your diet and all of that, so that of course you don't destroy the telomeres or have them aging faster than they need to. So I just want to put that up there for the audience to know.
That's a critical thing, you know, that's a critical thing that people have to be aware of, you know, especially in our communities where, you know, we deal with a tremendous amount of stress, you know, our families, our mothers, our fathers, you know, they work until the wee hours of the night, you know, and then that's stressful on the kids because the kids are coming home, they're latchkey kids, you know, it's just so much trauma and stress that is in the community that by the time a lot of our kids reach the age 25, you know, they look like, you know, it look like and feel like, or their cells actually feel like 60-year-old and 70-year-old cells, you know what I mean? So, you know, we got to do a better job at releasing or relieving the stress that is in our communities, man. And, you know, it's a difficult task because of poverty and racism and all that other stuff, but we have to try our best to do that because, you know, our lifespan, you know, that the black man, I'm gonna say the black man's lifespan is shorter than pretty much everyone else's, you know, and this is one of the reasons why.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Well, hopefully we're gonna throw something at you, man. And we're gonna go into the Lit City Report real quick. What is the Lit City Report? City Report is the wacky, wild, and wonderful things that keep our world going around. Hopefully we could save our telomeres with watching the Lit City Report, right? And the City Report going on. It's going to be on the Buffalo Soldiers, and they are making a brand new documentary about the Buffalo Soldiers. And can I pull it up? Did you guys hear about that at all?
No, I haven't heard about that, but I know of the Buffalo Soldiers. I've read a lot about them.
Yeah, they're making a brand new documentary about them to celebrate their life, their times, and all things that they were able to do, and their impact on American society. And that's always a dope thing. And I just want to, I'm gonna try to pull this up, and I want to show you guys the trailer to it.
The Buffalo Soldiers helped clear the West, even when black people weren't getting land out there in the West through the Homestead Act. So, you know, we were clearing it for them, fighting off the Indians and all that, you know, on the Western Front. But, you know, they weren't allowing us to get the land.
Yes, sir.
So that goes to show you, man. And I mean, we see that in our communities, you know, throughout our history in this country. We fight for things, and we don't necessarily reap the benefits of anything that we fought for.
What's your thoughts on that, bro? What's your thoughts on the new Buffalo Soldier? Have you, Brother Mozzie, have you been able to check it out, or have you heard anything about it?
I have not heard. I heard some stuff years ago, but I didn't think that we were at the point where it was going to be something that was made. But what we hope doesn't happen is that that the story is told as correctly as possible. You know, that it's not something like The Woman King, where, you know, two white women write the story about black people and, you know, becomes more of a feminist story, which is based in a lot of untruths. So
let's check out the trailer for the Buffalo Fighting Soldiers Real HD show. Check it out.
The average American doesn't know much about the history of the African American soldier.
Education opportunities were really limited for African American men at the time.
They had no property, they had no money, they had no political power.
All of these barriers were put in front of them, but which road was clear and open? And that was the road to enlistment.
I asked my grandfather, how come you serve this racist country? He said the Army gave him the only part of the American dream that the nation would let him share in.
Telling the story of the Buffalo Soldiers is a means of reestablishing that which was already there.
When we tell the whole story, we see the ways in which blacks in every generation have been intimate and important parts of American development.
We say African American history, but we got to get out of that. It's American history.
Hey, so that's the trailer for the Soldier documentary, the new one that's coming out very, very soon. It's coming out this year. And I'm not sure what platform it'll be on, but it'll probably be on Prime. You could probably get it on Prime, and they'll tell you 1,000 ways to watch it if you're subscribed to Prime. Everybody in the audience that's listening, we got a bunch of people on Mob Crush. We got a gang of people on D Live. We got a gang of people on the CJI page. We appreciate everybody that's watching right now. Tell us what you think about the new Buffalo Soldier documentary. What did you brothers think of the documentary, man? I like the anime fades that go back and forth. I hope they continue to do something in that vein. I think it will catch a lot of new young ones in their ears and eyes, the way at least if it goes the way that we seen it. What do you guys think?
I think it's a great idea the way it's visualized right now and the way it's done. But interesting story. I have, we've done it, the whole ancestry thing, but we wasn't doing the DNA piece. And we trace back our family and stuff like that. And I have an ancestor in my family that in his 40s, man, he decided he would go fight in the Civil War on the side of the North. And it was pretty interesting. It's in a particular book that I have, and I don't remember where the heck I put the book, but it's a great read. And of course, right now, as I'm thinking about it, I don't even remember the title of the book. And it talked about the various blacks who, fought in the Civil War at that time. And just, the whole thing with the Buffalo Soldiers and all that different stuff. So it's all kind of intertwined. So I kind of have some intimate knowledge, not of the Buffalo Soldiers, but of blacks who fought on the side of the North in particular as it related to the Civil War.
So, Sev, what's your thoughts on the trailer?
Yeah, I mean, I think it looks great. It's a documentary, so it's not really a movie, right? So it's different from The Woman King, right? So The Woman King is based on real events. Doesn't mean that it's factual, but it's based on real events. Whereas this is a documentary, so you're telling a story based on, the facts that you have, in front of you, whether they be video, photo stories, or books, information from a book. So I think it's great. But the interesting thing, is how Black people really fought on all sides of the coin, man. Like, the Buffalo Soldier story is about clearing out the West for the United States, right?
Yes, sir. Mm-hmm.
To gain land. So they were killing, Native Americans. Not that they had a choice, because as it said in the documentary, that was their means of survival. They weren't getting jobs. They weren't a major part of society. They barely, because that's the ending of the Civil War, right? So they barely were allowed to fight in the Civil War. And then once they were allowed to fight in the Civil War, that changed the whole tide of the war. So, people say, oh, Lincoln freed the slaves. No, we freed ourselves pretty much. You know what I mean? So I just think it's an interesting dynamic when you think about it, how, Black Americans just fought on every side in every war this country has ever seen, man. We even fought in the Confederacy. You know what I mean? Like, people don't talk about that, but we fought in the Confederacy too. We fought for the British in the American Revolution. We fought for the Americans in the American Revolution. So, we always, and, I know you talked about Kanye earlier, but we've always in our history had that dichotomy where, you have some people on one side, other people see differently on another side, right? All throughout our history. So it's just interesting, to see, and it's good that they're starting to tell our story even more now. The Buffalo Soldiers, there's a great movie coming out called, but it's about a Black Navy Navy pilot back in the day, I think during the Korean War. It's a new movie coming out. It should come out, I think, November 23rd, I think they said it's coming out. But there's a lot of movies coming out that are telling our story, which is important. So, You know, we just got to keep pushing these narratives, you know, even if we have to, you know, tell a story a little differently, you know. And as an educator, I always tell people, man, if you want to see our story told differently, if you don't want to see, you know, somebody tell a story in a different way, then start getting your kids in school, doing the right thing, learning so that they could become producers and film writers and filmmakers, and start pushing your schools to introduce these things on the elementary and the middle school level so that kids can gain interest in these things. That the reason why our stories are not told the way it should be told, or it's told by other people, is because there's not enough of us telling it. You know.
Let me blow you up real quick. Yes, sir. Yeah, man. When you drop something hard, you know, that's problem solving material. We love that on a Real HD show. Hey, bro, let's get into it a little bit. Let's talk about what the topic of the show is, which is, you know, a curious of Kanye button. And his peculiar fall from grace, as it were. What do you guys think of what's going on with Kanye right now, man? How do you think things are shaping up for him? How do you think things are evolving for him? Should Kanye not be invited back to the barbecue? Should he be kicked off the island? What we think?
Listen, man, Kanye get what he deserves, man. That's my
opinion. Say more.
Listen, man, when you run around America praising, you know, Trump, and when you run around America talking about white lives matter, white lives matter, you know, criticizing, you know, black people, like, come on, man. You know, you were a billionaire before. First of all, and this is the problem I have with Kanye, right? So he gets in the game through us, right? Through our culture, through our mechanism, right? Hip hop, right? The foundation, right? It's $1 billion industry. He came through there on the backs of people of color, black people, you know. He gets there, then all of a sudden, he decides that, oh, you know, he's better than us. So he's ready to move on. He joins the Conservative Party. He runs with Trump now. You know, what did he say about slavery? We wanted it. I'm paraphrasing it, but you know, he says something about slavery as if to say that we wanted to be enslaved. You know, he just says these ridiculous things, you know, because he's connected with that power structure, the one that he criticized, you know, now that he's criticizing them. So they get, you know, he became a billionaire through them. We running out there buying his Yeezys, you know, buying his clothes. He kicks us to the curb, right? Then, you know, he goes to the other side. They loving him, eating him up. He's in the White House with Trump, loving him, right? Everybody wants to give him everything. Next thing you know, he starts criticizing them. The people who gave him the access, he criticizes them, and then they kick him to the curb. Now he's not even a billionaire anymore. Lost almost $500 million already, right? So it's going to be interesting to see how he rebounds. But what I'm really interested in seeing is how we, if we take him back, you know, how we doing that, right? Like he just spit in our face for God knows how many years, right? Since you know Trump took office, he spit in our face, smacked us all around, told us we ain't nothing, pretty much, you know. And then all of a sudden now he gets kicked out the big house, right? He want to run back to the field. Get out of here, man. That's my
opinion. Is this Ave on the phone right now? Is this Ave on the exchange? What's good? Talk to us.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Just now jumping in.
Hey, what's goody, bro? Dave Heroic Collier in the building. And we talking about, everything that's going on. We got a couple. Give me 1 second now, and I'll get you to take on this, bro. With the comments of people who are chimed in. Said that the very powerful people of the Jewish ethnicity come for him. And after that, he said that they came for him and canceled everywhere now. So what was crazy about what he said about he should be on alert because they're out to get him. You can be paranoid, but if they're really out to get you, it doesn't make you wrong. And then we have a follow-up comment by another user. Kanye West is perfectly mentally fine. The issue is people don't want to identify that what he's saying is largely the truth. And you can see what he says is frustration. So because a few people actually are getting the important messages that he's putting out there, is he eccentric? Yes, but he's not crazy. Anybody wanna respond to those particular comments from the users? The Facebook channel?
I mean, Kanye is mentally ill, man. Kanye is mentally ill. He said it. You know, we know he's been already diagnosed. He has, I think it was what he said. He was bipolar.
Bipolar.
So he's mentally ill. Like you can't, like that's just, you know, you can't even argue that because it's already been diagnosed.
But you know, being mentally ill don't mean that you're crazy. And I think we have to be careful and walk that fine line because for example, he's bipolar. Does that make him crazy? No, it don't make him crazy. It just makes him, you know, he almost like having Tourette's. You know, he just, one minute he got highs, next minute it's lows, and he just speaks out on stuff that he don't really, you know, without thought. But, you know, what Kanye, I think went wrong in all of this is that there is right now in America, there is a schism. The schism is the good old boy of America, white boys, and then those white people who call themselves Jews. And so the alt-right, which are the good old boys of America, one of the things that they're doing is they are drawing the line because they know and realize, you know, before they had that psychopathic racial personality where they were so focused on blackness, but they also realize now when they finally start to wake up and realize how bad life is for them, that they understand that it is not us that is creating the problems and the heartaches that they have. And so when you listen to the David Dukes of the world and those who fall in that category, they are blaming Jews for everything. And so Kanye decided he was going to jump on that alt-right train, you know, with Donald Trump and some of the other Christian right, some of the evangelicals. And what he failed to realize is, you got, you know, what Jay-Z said, still a nigga. So when he went and made his comments, one, he didn't articulate them properly. And two, even though he said them, he thought he still had that alt-right in his back pocket. And like what every black person has found out, these folks they ain't got no love for you. No love for Kanye. So now Kanye's stuck out there on his own. What he said was incorrect? You know, that's debatable. But you don't make a move unless you know you got what you think you have. And see, Kanye was lulled asleep thinking that he was a special Negro. And that's what you get when you have special Negro syndrome.
Hey, your thoughts, man?
Yeah, Maisie had a lot of compelling thoughts on the issue that I concur with. You know, Kanye, he's leading people in the right direction as far as the truth, but like he said, how he presented it and how he put it out there without having the backing of the people that he needed, or not understanding he had the true backing of the people he thought he needed, is what's been leading to his demise. We all know that he's been surrounding himself by the wrong people. I think the first mistake was marrying a Kardashian. I think he's kind of figured that out. But I think when we look at it in its entirety, we got to look at it from what has Kanye's life been like for the past 20 years, right? Since he's been in the industry. He's been dealing with the Jewish community as far as the record labels. He has to go to the Jewish community to get permission to do everything that he's been able to do. And so when he talks about, you know, people have been stifling his genius, it's a reality because they want to control it. If they can't profit off of it, they're not going to allow him to do it. And so we can see how Adidas right now, they just announced that they're going to relaunch all of his design without his name on it. This is what they wanted. They wanted to own his product, just like all entertainers. We want you to be a rap artist for us, but we're going to own your music, and any music that you try to publish to help your community, we're going to demonize you. We're going to make you look crazy. No different than what they did with Michael Jackson. He comes out with, they don't really care about us, and then next thing you know, he has pedophilia lawsuits against him. And once he tries to challenge that power structure and say, "Oh, I own all this music. I'm gonna compete against you as far as the record labels," they took him down. No matter how light his skin was, he had to realize, okay, I'm a black man. They're always going to see me as a black man. And no different than Bill Cosby. None of those cases came up until he tried to buy NBC. So as soon as a black man tries to assert himself as a leader for the black community and try to, you know, make capital, make dollars for the black community, they shut him down. We have to realize as a community, black community, we have $1.6 trillion of spending power that don't get invested within the black community. Our dollar stays in our community, for 5 hours? And then we're giving it to the Jewish community. We're giving it to the Asian community. We're giving it to the white community. So Kanye is just trying to express that we have to solidify against people who are against us. Like on the Breakfast Club, Leor Cohen said, "Oh, I'm taking talent over consciousness every time." So he's equating conscious rap with whack rap. When we can sit here, all four of us can identify this pill popping music is trash. It's trash. The purpose of this music is to put these kids in a trance. You eliminate the critical thinking and openness and thought and creativity in our city schools. You have these kids going through elementary school, not learning how to read, but you're passing them because no left behind. And so they get caught in the trance in this music. You know, they get caught in the idioms. And there's a reason why they want more singing and rap hooks. The melody gets you hooked. The melody gets you in a trance. And then on top of that, with the overprescription of drugs and opioids, and they're just feeding it in our streets. Like these kids are being dumbed down intentionally. And literally in the same quote, this man Leor Cohen said, "I'm going to take talent all the time. I got people. I got family."
Yes, sir.
Like how hypocritical is that? And so for somebody who signed all these artists, but you're only putting out trash music, and then going to say conscious music doesn't sell. Like, have you not listened to Kendrick Lamar? Do you not see the numbers that he's doing? Do you not see the numbers that J. Cole is doing? Like, we have to go back to, you know, our early 90s, the roots of hip hop. Like, people forget Chuck D, Public Enemy, like they were the #1 group. They were the #1 on billboards all throughout early 90s, from like 88 to 92. They were the group.
Yes, sir.
And so we see how Jimmy Iovine and all these guys have influenced Dr. Dre and being a battery. Like, people don't want to sit here and talk about it, but you think Suge Knight didn't have the Jewish battery behind his back, empowering him? Like, they're going to allow us to slaughter each other, but anytime we say, okay, we gotta unite against the people that's going against us, they can't kill them. You see what they did to Malcolm and everybody?
Yes, sir. I wanted to get a couple of the posts that are up here. Shout out to Chris Morissette. He says there's nothing wrong with him. He's not crazy nor our savior. He's allowed to have his opinion, and this is his lessons for his actions. Peace. Yeah, peace, bro. Hey man, come on board. You know, jump on the live stage with us, man. Rock out with us. Real HD show. You know, Chris was from around the way. Love that cat. Let's get to it. All right. So I want to look at Kanye and some of his transgressions over the years real quick so we have a little context. So you got Kanye and Balenciaga. They had their little feud. Balenciaga dropped him. No longer a relationship with Kanye. Anna Wintour and Vogue shouting him out. However, it seemed things are falling apart between Whitney and the rapper wearing the White Lives Matter t-shirt that sparked his feud with Vogue editor. She must be a little left. Here's a little, I guess, a little TikTok post. I'm not going to play that. The never-ending beef with Taylor Swift. You know, everybody knows what he did on the award stage with Taylor Swift. Kanye claims about George Floyd and the fentanyl causing George Floyd's death. Let's stop right there for a minute. What does everybody think about? And I know me and Mozzie talked about this already, but what does everybody think about Kanye and his grandiose claims about George Floyd and fentanyl? Let's talk about it real quick.
Well, we know he was inaccurate, right?
Right. Obviously.
Yeah. We know he was inaccurate. You know, the courts already proved him wrong. So why would you come on and make up some lie? And he's going to find himself, you know, not only is he going to lose 400 million, he already lost 400 million, but he's going to lose another 300 million with this lawsuit that's going to come out. Just like Alex Jones did when he said that that whole mass shooting at the school was a lie. And they hit him for a couple of billion, you know. So
yeah,
he
Sandy Hook.
He's just inaccurate, man. You know, it's conservative talking points. You know, that's why Kanye is getting the backlash he had. You know, and if you notice one thing about Kanye, and I don't know if anyone, you know, picked this up, but look at all of the companies that are shutting him out. Who's not shutting him out? Right? You gotta ask yourself that. All Adidas, all of these people are shutting him out, but who's not shutting him out? The people who he doesn't build a relationship with, his own people. You don't see any black companies in there. You don't see any black Fortune 500 companies in there, right? Because he didn't connect with us like that or connect with them. If Kanye, Jay-Z, and P. Diddy got together and formed a conglomerate, right? He wouldn't have to be talking about Jews and saying that nonsense, right? We've been talking about this since Stephen Coakley, man. We still
yes, sir. Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
We still talking about that?
Take it back. Take it back.
Right? He don't get no wins, man, for that. So what? You telling us stuff about Jews that run the record company? They was running the record companies in the 60s and the 50s. You don't think R&B people were getting shafted the same? Michael Jackson, they was all getting shafted. So what are you telling us, Kanye? You're not telling us nothing. You're just mad. You're pouting, right? And you just want to, like, you know, you thought that you was above the law, or you know,
special Negro syndrome.
Yeah, exceptional.
Yep. So I wanted to stop at the George Floyd piece because that's endearing to our folks, and that would be another strike against Kanye getting voted off the island or not being invited back to the barbecue. And then we got of course the sensationalism about his beef with Drake, all of the nonsense that went on after him and Kim broke up with Pete Davidson, all of the craziness that went on. I don't know if you guys saw the Drink Champs episode, and how he was trying to clown out about Pete Davidson wanting to cut his head off and all kind of wild stuff. Of course, this piece with Jay-Z, nobody really knew what really destroyed the union, but you know, according to what it was a talented one. They should have been able to mend fences and continue, but they didn't. And then you know, him and Kid Cudi, that's neither here nor there. But I just wanted to show you some stuff about that. And overall, this speaks overall like he's not reliable, like he's not a steady-minded person. And then people say that he said that he doesn't read, so that kind of lends itself to the way that he kind of handles himself and the way that he goes about putting his public statements out there. And you guys think of all of those particular idioms and how they reflect on Kanye?
Well, the bigger thing is that in order to get to where he's at, and here's what a lot of us do not recognize and never want to really talk about. Those of us that are in the entertainment business, in order for us to obtain the kind of riches that these brothers are getting, you have to make certain deals. And a lot of times that's a deal with the devil. Whether we like it or not, Jay-Z went from being one of the biggest drug dealing destroyers of our community, and now they done flipped the script, and he is the pillar of what we should try to be like. Who did he speak to that ran that PR campaign and then flipped him around to where now he's the man that's being put in front of us all the time? Kanye, they know he's bipolar, a little special. He's been allowed to do and say things, and he's not been held accountable. Jay-Z took a different route than he did. Jay-Z was more the laid back, okay, I'm gonna just get mine. Kanye just didn't know when to shut up, and could be because of his bipolarness, could be because Kanye just feels like maybe he's just want the recognition and always wants to be in the spotlight. But when you have that special Negro syndrome, one thing that has to happen for you to get there, to get to where these dudes are, you have to have made a deal with those unsavory people in the world. They can be Jews, they can be whatever you want them to be, or whatever you want to call them, but they are out there, and these brothers made those decisions.
But I think that's the case with any industry, man. Is that I don't think it's just relegated to the music industry. If you make it big in finance, if you make it big in banking, you've done some unscrupulous things. If you're like a top-notch attorney, in a lot of cases, a lot of those very rich, successful people have done some, unscrupulous things. So it's not just the music industry that's like that. This is capitalism, man. And as long as capitalism exists in the way that it does, you're going to have those type of scenarios where people are going to do things in order to enhance their wealth.
And that's true. But here's the difference. Security Memorandum 282 or 287 said what? That they will promote to us to be either an athlete or an entertainer. And you look at our most wealthiest people, and you look at the people that is put in front of us as the people we should revere are what? It's not the brother in finance. It's not the attorney. Every young kid, and both of you guys are educators. Most of these young kids say what they want to be. I want to be a ball player. I want to play football, or I want to be a rapper. And now you throw in social media. I want to be a social media star. Ain't nobody talking about those other arenas.
Well, to me, I say we got to take accountability on that.
Exactly.
I'm a parent, right? My kids are not in the entertainment industry, right? Because I focused them to do certain things. I found other routes for them to go in. So at the end of the day, I'm not saying you're doing this, but I'm just saying in general, like we as a community, we like to say that, these people put these groups of people in front of us. No, we allowed people to be put in front of us. You know what I mean? You got to make sure that kids are doing what they're supposed to do in the grassroots level, and that means in the schools, right? In the schools.
But here's something that you can't deny. You can't continue to swim in the sea of insanity and not get wet. We never played that kind of music when we rode around with the kids and in the house, Half this music my kids knew about never was played in our house.
Right.
Never.
Right.
So you're going to be out there and they're going to be around. It's going, they're going to pick up on some of that stuff. But I think the key is, like you were saying, it's how and what we teach our kids. Yep. It's how and what we not give our kids, because we always think because, we're learned brothers and we do okay financially. So, we think, and we know other brothers and sisters like that think that it's about what you're giving your kids. I want to give them this. I want to give them that. And it's like, no, it's not always about what you give them. It's about what you don't give them.
And it's how you talk to them, right?
Yes.
You as a parent have to be educated enough to sit down and have these these tough discussions with your kid about Black history, about our culture, and about where we want to move forward to, and all of these things, man. Because if you're not having these discussions, the streets are gonna have them with them. You can guarantee that, or the music industry or entertainment. So at the end of the day, we got to take ownership, man, and accountability for everything that happens in our community, man. And where Kanye drops the ball is that you can't finger point, man. You were in the big house. Kanye was in the big house, man.
Yeah.
He was eating filet mignon with them cats. So don't come to us now talking about, oh, they're the problem when you were sitting there breaking bread with them. Nah.
Yeah, buddy. But here you go right here. Kanye West reportedly in negotiations with Black-owned brands after severing ties with Gap.
See,
here we go.
Here we go.
Here we go, man. That's just like I remember.
What comes up must come down, There
you go. Listen, man. Here's something that we got to stop doing as a community.
Word.
We got to stop letting people piss on us, and then come over later and say, "Hey, what's up, man?
So
let's go get a drink."
Hey, speaking of that, let's check this out, man. I don't know if everybody remembers this. This is when Kanye was in his period of doing his revivalist stuff.
Yeah, when he was a good Christian.
Period. But my man stepped all the way out the side of his face talking about Harriet Tubman and what she did and did not do for somebody who never reads a book.
Like I said the other night,
where we at with that? He's evangelizing, but then he's throwing our folks under the bus, and I believe that's the same period where
he's been doing that for a while. The same thing OJ did, and what happened when OJ got in trouble? He want to show up in the Black community talking about what we need to do and what we don't need to do, and we need to stick together as Black folks. We got to stop letting these people who step out away from us and who engages in exploitation, but not just exploitation, but the outright, they just diss us outright, man. They dog us out. They spread misinformation. They misrepresent stories. They get in bed with those who don't like us. And then when they get smacked down, then they come running back to us. And what we do, because we're very episodic with a 2-week memory, we take them back as if nothing ever happened. Or they treat us like treat us like someone who's been abused, Stockholm syndrome or something, man. Because we got to stop doing that, man. We just got to stop. You made your bed, you got to lie in it. There's too many of us we got to try to save, and Kanye money does not benefit us. And at the rate he's going, he may be, he might be on Section 8 soon. So I don't know what he's going to be able to do for us at this point. Whether Jews are doing whatever they say to do, we know what the deal is, and we got to continue to work as a people for our betterment. We need to do what everybody else do, which is be Black first, like they are white first and Jew first and everything else. And we don't have to worry about the Kanyes of the world, because you know why? We won't be developing and making Kanyes of the world. And even if we did, we ain't got to worry about them. And we don't need to worry about them right now. He made his bed. Brother Sev, like you said earlier, he made his bed. He got to lie in it.
So we got another post. Reggie Jones. Peace, brother Reg. We have to be able to show grace. I agree, Kanye says some outlandish stuff, but as a man, we should be able to apologize for our mishaps. And Kanye apologized for his comments on slavery and Harriet Tubman, but the media won't show that. The person who checked him Van Lathan said that he had an off-air conversation where he was very remorseful and apologized for his comments. So what do we?
Nope. Because you know why? He
What
could have came.
do we
Hold
about
on, hold on.
Reg?
He
No,
coulda went to-
we're not going to discard what Brother Reggie said. Your voice, your victory.
No. Let me tell
ahead.
you where I'm coming from.
Go ahead. Add on. Go ahead. Add on.
We could have came to the Real HD show and apologized. Ah. He could have went on Roland Williams, was it Roland, whatever his name is, man. Roland Martin show and apologized. There's black mediums he could have went. There's many places he could have went and apologized. He could have went on the Breakfast Club.
Come in.
Exactly.
Right.
If he can do Roland Martin, he can definitely come to us. But he could apologize. There's black mediums he could have went and apologized, especially if you were sincere. Then you get on those black mediums that black folks are talking and listening to and say, I'm sorry to my brothers and sisters. You don't do it off camera because then it becomes conjecture. It becomes, did he say it or did he not say it? Nah, man. See, this is the stuff we got to stop doing when people spit in our face. I'm not trying to sound mean or angry or nothing. I'm not angry about it. I'm just saying the reality is, as we teach our children, you give a person a chance. I told my kids, like I told them, and the second time, you got to speak a little loud and say, yo, enough's enough. But the third time, you just have to knock him out. And while you're saying it, you tell him to leave you alone. That's it, man. We as a community, man, we love folk, man. We want everybody to love us.
Yeah, I want to see someone talk about Kanye's work in the community. That's what I want to see. I don't care, that he apologized. I want to see his works.
Good point.
Where are your works?
Good point.
You're from Chicago, the murder capital in America, man. Drug dealing, poverty. What are you doing there in your hometown? Chirac, exactly. Like, what are you doing in your hometown? That's what I want to see. Like that'll be your apology right there. If you could, if you're building homes in the community, rebuilding the projects over there, if you're meeting with the gangs and you're trying to do what what's the running back from the Cleveland Browns did in LA back in the day? Old school running back who used to work with the gangs. Jim Brown. Are you doing what Jim Brown did in the communities? Like, that's what I want to see. That's your apology.
Marshawn Lynch.
Exactly. I want to see that. Like, I want somebody to promote that.
You got $4.7 billion. You can help out the homeless folks in Chicago.
Come on, man.
You can go ahead and give some good money for the guns in Chicago.
Yep. You could build low-income housing all across Chicago, man. You could probably supplement welfare checks like to those people if they need it, like something, bro.
Yeah. So it's interesting. So Kanye put this out. It's DEFCON 3 on the Jews with his anti-Semitism comment, and then it got to air this cat here, Ari Emanuel. Are you guys hip to this dude? Are you guys hip to this dude?
Mm-hmm.
He's the CEO of this business called Endeavor. And not only is he the CEO of Endeavor, but he's one of the biggest music and entertainment agents that's out there.
Mm-hmm.
And this cat also happens to be, and I'm sure we can show how fast travel in Steve Coakley fashion, since you brothers brought up bless that brother's life. Name the name, state the facts, name the names, and follow the money. Where you want to follow the money. Ari Emanuel, who called out, he put out the dog whistle for all these people to cut ties with Kanye. Come to find out, Ari Emanuel is a globalist with the WEF.
Yep.
Happens that fast. Down in Davos for their big, conference that they had a couple of months ago, put out the dog whistle, and now everybody's cutting ties with Kanye West. I find that interesting from a standpoint of what's going on with the WEF, with the Great Reset, and we've done many shows featuring the World Economic Forum. You know, Biden's been there throwing his hat in the ring, talking about this, that, and the third with the WEF, and of course, now Ari Emanuel shows up as one of the premier guests in the World Economic Forum this year. What do you guys think, man? What do you guys think of that? And then I'll add one more piece to that. Kanye has this alliance now as one of the four owners of these social media outlets that are kind of like the last bastions of free speech, because of course within the WEF you got Zuckerberg with Facebook. He owns 80 social media outlets. You know, you got Reuters. They have a tremendous impact on the social media space. And then now Kanye is kind of on the other extreme, as it were. What do you guys think of how quick these ties are? You know, how quick these things happen and how quick these ties are bound to business. And Sev, are you hip to the ESG, environmental social governance thing that the World Economic Forum is putting down?
No, this is the first time I'm hearing about that.
Yeah, check that out, bro. It's a matter of fact, let me see if I could the website. I'm gonna pull up. Hold on. Let me not do it there because I'm gonna lose the broadcast. Yeah, I'm gonna flip. And I'm gonna put up this piece, and I want you guys to kind of check it out. Morgan Stanley is the ones that created the actual algorithm for it, the ESG, the environmental social governance, which is kind of the new thing coming down the pipe with the social credit. Have you guys been checking that out? Social credit?
Yes,
because they're already doing it in Milwaukee,
in China.
And
China has been leading the charge on this for the past 15 years, and now it's pretty much have gone live during the COVID, and as they move into their digital world.
Yes, sir.
And that's something that they're doing now here in the U.S. So when you're told that credit doesn't mean anything, don't believe it. Because what's going to happen is you get a social score and you get a financial score, which is your credit score. And that will determine, right. Remember that, what was that movie? Oh, goodness. I forget. There was a movie where folks, based on genetics, whole bunch of other factors, you kind of have your certain lot in life, and then after that time, and you get a certain length of time in which you live, and then you die. And then there was also the other one where they got so many like credits towards life, and so they went on the run and found their way up to where the rich folks were, or who had all the credits, and they had like infinite life. I forget the name of the movies, but this all falls in line with that, because once again, it has to do with, what are we going to do with all these people we got on this planet that keep producing more and more people?
Right. So this is the Sustainalytics website, and Morningstar. We can get into the, covert nature of what that word is. But we won't do it for purposes of trying to move the show along. I'm sure you brothers can understand the frequency that I'm talking about. And they give you an ESG rating on your business. Now, of course, Kanye owns several. He has, I believe it's Gerben is one of his product lines. And I believe that has to do with his fashion. And I believe it's YZ Yeezys or something like that is another type of outlet brand. But what the World Economic Forum is doing as of the end of COVID is they're trying to impact businesses, stakeholders, and shareholders' ability. And they're doing that, and they're trying to persuade people and businesses on how they invest based on your social credit score as a business. And then, of course, it's going to trickle down to the people. And this is just an example of something that a company, which is Microsoft, and of course, Kill Bill, he's involved with them. And of course, you see how, because of his involvement and his global footprint, he's quote unquote a low risk. His company is low risk. Microsoft is low risk. So what does that mean? That means that the WEF would endorse people to get involved and invest in his business and him invest in others. And he's a safe risk. Similar to the way you would go and apply for a car or a house and they would look into your credit and they would call you a safe risk or a risky person and they would deny you or accept you. So the environmental social governance is based on your carbon, your footprint as a business. Are you like dumping in the ocean? Are you helping with climate change? And then, of course, your social footprint would be like, are you EOE? Are you hiring? Do you have an LGBTQ hiring practice? Those sorts of things. And it's really interesting. I challenge everybody to go and check this out. It's the new way that businesses and, of course, people will be dealt with going into the future with this social credit score that they've got going. Like I said, it's already in Milwaukee. It's in China. It's in Canada. And now it's here in America. And I'm sure based on what happened with Kanye and him running and being very belligerent toward the Jewish community, I'm sure his ESG score is in the tank. What do you guys think about that? What's your thoughts on that?
Well, the whole social credit score is an interesting one because I think what we need to do maybe do another show just talking about that, because what's going to be important about that is how you're going to be able to pretty much move in society. Mm-hmm. They're talking about what schools you can go to, restricting your travel. Even when you want to get on the internet, based upon that social credit score, they'll determine what kind of speed you'll get based on that score. In other words, there's certain things you can have access to and certain things you won't have access to. And as it relates to Kanye, I don't think he's going to be in a position where, and he may be, if his is in the tank, let's see what happens to him. Will he be able to get Section 8, for example, if he goes that broke? And then as far as losing, his billions, does that mean the billions that he has, is that liability? Is that net worth? I mean, does it mean that he, all these ties that he's no longer going to have? What happens to the so-called money that he currently supposedly have? Are those assets? Are there speculative monies? What is it?
What's your thoughts on the ESG piece and how it pertains to what Kanye has, the hole that he has put himself into in revolving on that subject matter? Go ahead, bro. Self.
You talking? Oh, so just to piggyback, I don't know too much about the social credit score. That's not pretty my area of expertise, but it just sounds like another form that could possibly lead to like discrimination. Just kind of picking and choosing what aspects of people's morality and behavior, is put on a different level than others. So it just seems like it seems like something that's a slippery slope. It's already in China, as you mentioned. I remember, reading a little bit about that. But we just have to be careful when we talk about, categorizing people, because in this country, we've had a history of categorizing people, based on a lot of different factors. And just now here's another one that we're going to have to deal with, So it's just something to be careful. It sounds dangerous to me.
So here's a little video. Here's a video that I played on the show a little while ago about ESG and its emerging impact on the American landscape, and I'm gonna play it one more time. It seems like we have a little larger of an audience on today, so I'll let it rock real quick. Check this out on ESG.
1995. By now, it's in our DNA. True to our signature, every investment decision we make is research-based. Our experts have a true understanding of the dynamics behind the data. Robeco structurally integrates environmental, social, and governance information into the investment decision-making process to make better informed investment decisions. This benefits both our investors and the world we live in. We avoid any investments that we or our clients deem unsuitable, and exclude companies involved in controversial behaviors, processes, or products. Once an asset finds its way to our portfolios, we instigate positive change. As an active owner, Robeco votes at shareholders' meetings and engages in dialogues with management to address ESG issues. Robeco offers strategies with specific sustainable goals, an improved environmental footprint, and a better ESG profile. Our other family of strategies focuses on contributing positively to the Sustainable Development Goals, or to sustainable themes, such as healthy living or smart mobility.
So I'm not going to play the entire thing. It's basically, they're showing you how they want these companies moving into the future to have a positive sustainability piece happening with their business objectives. And if you do that, then you're considered a safe risk for future investing, and they'll recommend you to the larger macro business community for you to invest in, and for business to invest in you. And I think Kanye, based on his particular brand of salaciousness, has just found himself being a case study for ESG as it's happening in real time. Brother Mozzie, what's your thoughts on that? You got to undo your mic, bro.
Remember what Neely Fuller says, that white supremacy will always tell you, show you what you're doing, what they're doing, what they're about to do, and what they've already done. And one of the interesting parts about this is the movie I was thinking of was Gattaca. Remember the movie Gattaca?
Yeah.
This is almost, say that again?
Is that Ethan Hawke?
Yes.
Okay.
Pretty similar movie. Mm-hmm. Pretty similar to what we're saying right now. In other words, the corporation, as we move forward, is going to really determine your life, because we're living in a world of fascism now, where corporations and AI and things of that nature are taking over. And remember what's the movie with Wesley Snipes and the Rocky guy? What's it?
Demolition Man.
What was that movie that they did? Remember, it was
Demolition Man.
Demolition Man. It was the corporation that ran everything. And remember, as you walked around, you can say something and it will cost you. And wherever you're at, bring, you'll get a demerit that took points away, or bring, or you did something great and you got merits that would enhance your living ability in the society. So they've already told us that this stuff is coming. Will it look like that? I don't know if it's going to look like that, but this stuff is on the horizon. And so for everybody who think they need to be linked into all this stuff, you know, because every day they come out with a new app or a new program or something with, I got to run and get it. You know, I gotta have the latest and the greatest. Whatever it is, we got to have it. And so we just got to be careful when we look at this stuff. And also, as you look at what's going to happen with Kanye, Kanye's he's disposable. And I think they're playing all of this out right in our face with Kanye. They're telling you, and remember what Steve Copley said, you know, so now you know what you're going to do about it.
Oh, I like that. Pull out the gauntlet. Very Orwellian, the way you're describing it. Ave, did you happen to see the YouTube video that I just showed on ESG?
And I just caught it at the tail end.
At the tail end. So it's environmental
Yeah.
social governance, and it's part of the World Economic Forum, and what they want to institute to hold businesses accountable for sustainability goals all over the planet. But while they're doing that, they're going to institute a social credit.
Oh, okay. I know what you talk. I know what you're talking about.
Okay, great.
Yeah,
So now,
yeah. That was.
Go ahead.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I can get deep in this. That was initiated by BlackRock, by Larry Fink. That's what those that was initiated by, and it shifted the scope of the business world as far as the agenda. And so obviously them being a $9 trillion company pushing $10 trillion, I think they're over $9 trillion. I think they're around 11 trillion after the pandemic. But they can withhold a lot of money from a lot of people. They can shut down whole markets just based on their spending power and their control of assets. We look at entities like Netflix. It goes from curating great shows to now it's putting out just wokeness. And that happened pretty much after, I think 2017, 2016 is when that deal happened. And so you see from there, the only hit show that they've had was Stranger Things. So like they're pushing an agenda that the people aren't for, is for the corporate agenda. We look at what happened in Sri Lanka when they pushed the full organic farming. They knew what was going to happen to those farmers when they forced them to go 100% organic. They produced less than half of what they produced the previous year. So how are you going to thrive on an economy? How are you going to feed your people? How are you going to feed your family? And what happened? Their whole economy collapsed. They already were bankrupt before they initiated that policy, but they pushed that to be able to buy up those farmers' lands. We see the same thing happening to America. Obviously, AJ, you understand about what's going on with Pittsburgh and the black farmers.
Yes,
the same thing is going on with white farmers today. And like we hear this saying, if they come for us now, they're coming for you later. Yes. And in that case, now people are paying attention. And so we got to look at what happened in our economy. We see all these blue states, these Rust Belt states that were Democrat turn red, is because they were ignored by the Democratic Party because they're pushing an agenda. They're not taking care of the people, and that credit score is one of the primary reasons, because everybody wants to keep that bankroll going. And ESG that maintains the status quo and the power structure to keep it going, to push a fake woke agenda that only appeals to corporate companies.
Everybody who's in front of a computer, go to blackrock.com and tell me what you see.
Let me read this comment by Big Willie Taft. What up, Big Will? Bill Gates is forcing his influence as well. He is the single largest owner of farmland. I'm assuming that's of. There are a lot of moves being made, and people aren't paying attention. Exactly. That's why I put this up here with Ari Emanuel, and then how he's one of the actual globalists that's involved with the WEF, World Economic Forum, and the swift moves that they're making with the Great Reset. So if you guys want to check that out, go back and check that out. Thanks for joining us, Big Willie style. We appreciate it, bro. Good seeing you. I hope you and your family are doing well. And watch yourself out there in them streets patrolling, bro. Let me just erase his comment so we can see Sev. What do you guys think, man? Is Kanye becoming a case study for what the new ESG is going to be coming down the pipe. Because his Gerben brand has been affected. His Yeezy's brand has been affected. And a lot of his ventures have been affected almost overnight by this cat, because they put out the dog whistle for Kanye because he's not being his social standing, as it were, is not being as optimal as they would like it to be. What do you guys think? Too conspiratory? Let me know.
No. Kanye would be considered. He would be in the realm of investment of what they call behavioral finance.
Say more. That's dope.
Go to BlackRock, BlackRock.com. Remember, they're the world's biggest investor, one of the world's biggest company. We try to say that it's Apple, but it ain't Apple. They always try to tell you that, but it's the dudes who are investing the money. And when you go to BlackRock, it talks about your ESG and sustainable investment.
And of course, Vanguard, Blackstone, and BlackRock. I know Ave remembers when we did the big show on that way back. Remember we did the big show on those jokers and their economic influence, you know, in the macro society. These dudes run everything. Those investment houses.
Oh yeah.
Pretty much every piece of economics out there, they're involved in. Pensions, 401ks, all that.
Manufacturing, all that. They're even set up here in Rochester.
Right, prison industrial complex, all that. Yep.
Yeah. So here you go with behavioral finance. Logically, a client investment decision should be driven by numbers, but in reality, emotions are in play. That's why your clients need a coach to help them stay invested through the ups and downs of the market and understanding emotion. And right now, what's going on? What's Kanye's biggest problem? Most people think he's a little emotional with these outbursts and everything else. And how do you manage that portfolio of volatility that you would put him into?
Well said. Anybody else want to jump in on that?
Yeah, I totally agree. And I think this is something that Jay-Z was trying to teach him, and why Jay-Z had to let him go. If you listen to Jay-Z music, he's saying the same things Kanye's saying, not in the same way. We see him call out the Jewish community on Stories of OJ. He said, "You want to know why Jewish people own all the communities?" and they try to give him Jay-Z backlash for that, but he said, "No, I ain't going for that." And so, you know, Jay-Z has always been trying to push for unity within the Black community, and not destroy the Black community, as some people may say. I know people got a lot of opinions, but if you go back to his lyrics, he said Hov did that. So hopefully you don't have to go through that. Like, this is in his first album. And so if we look at the relationship between them two, like, they were tight, and I think the only thing that separated him was the people that filled up his camp. He started getting a little wild with his language, and then I think that what really severed the relationship was him dating Kim Kardashian. And that's when Jay-Z said, okay, he's going too much off of emotion and not understanding the position that he's in and the power that he have to make the influence. Like, no different than any other Black man in a powerful position. You have to move a certain way. You can't just give the blueprint. And I think he's so expressive, and he's just so ready to give that blueprint out and share his information with the world. But the powers that be are like, no, you gotta conceal some things. And so I just mostly look at Kanye just looking at his camp, having the wrong camp. And I say even prior to him being with Kim, most people probably will say this was the start of his downfall was when his mother died. And I think that's the biggest thing. He's missing his mother, and he's just crying out for help. And I think it needs to be strong Black men that get around him with no agenda, not asking him for money, but saying, yo, let's take a year to get your mind right. Like let's get away from this politics. Let's get away from what's going on in the real world, and let's focus on you. Where is your headspace at? And I don't think nobody's prepared to do that openly, nor privately. And it's just a toxic situation as of now. But hopefully somebody could pick them up, in the near future and say, hey, get your mind right. I got you.
I think Kanye's problems are Kanye's problems, man. We got to stop with these excuses that he doesn't have anybody. This is a billionaire, man. He has every connection outside of the music industry, man. He's from Chicago, man. He has all of the connections. He came in through, Jay and those dudes. So Kanye's problems is Kanye's problems, man. Like, these things that Kanye's talking about is nothing new, man. What I want to hear is my thing is I want to hear what these rich Black men are doing in their communities, Black men and women. What are you doing in your community? I don't care about the Jews, man. I don't care about none of that. You know what I care about? How many schools have you built? That's what I care about. How many businesses have you built? Right? We talk about what's the brother in California that got killed that had all of those businesses in Los Angeles, but he was killed.
On Nipsey.
What's his name?
On Nipsey.
Yeah. Come on, man. Like, you could see the fruits of his labor, man. And even Jay's work with incarcerated individuals, right? You could see the fruits of his labor, the work that he's putting out there, getting brothers out of prison, fighting against the fact that, the court systems can use hip hop music to criminalize you and put you in jail. Like, that's Jay. Where's Kanye's work? We hear, not us in particular, but a large part of our community is supporting this guy. And what has he done? So I don't buy into all of that excuses about him. We've been talking about the Jews, man, for God knows how long. We got to get over that, man, and start talking about us and what we're going to do to move the community forward, man. And those people that got the knowledge, wisdom, and understanding, and those people that got the money need to come together and start doing things in the community. I don't care about no Kanye. Kanye, he's getting criticized now because he did something wrong in their culture. What he did, he was in their culture and he messed up, right? He messed up their cultural norms. That's his fault. He created that scenario. So now he getting kicked out the community. And he gonna run right back to us.
And we're gonna
right?
accept.
And we're gonna accept him, open arms.
Well, what's interesting though is billionaires, when you amass the kind of money these dudes have, you don't need to talk no more. Because the reality is, how often do Jay-Z speak? How often do we see him on television? And do we know what he's doing? Not really, but we know he's doing something. There's some things out there. Look at, I'll give you a classic case and example. Rupert Murdoch. Tens of billions of dollars. Do we ever hear Rupert Murdoch about him on TV speaking? But what do we own? Fox TV. They do his bidding for him. You hire a Tucker Carlson, people of that nature, Bill O'Reilly. You don't have to speak. When you have that kind of money and you know what's going on, you find people who will lead that charge for you. You never put yourself out on Front Street. So he was messy to begin with. Think about Robert Smith and all the money he has. The only reason why people knew about the fact that he was going to take care of all those students who went to, was it at Morehouse or Spelman or one of them, where he was going to pay for all their student debt? The only reason why they knew that is because he made the announcement at the graduation. But when they wanted to interview him, he didn't speak about it. He just did what he needed to do. When you got that kind of money, you don't need to speak. You don't need to be out in the public. You need to be doing any of that. Handle your business, because
Yeah.
handling your business is how you got there.
Yeah, your actions speak louder than your words, man.
There you go.
Absolutely. So let's kind of sum this up, man. I know we want to say, is Kanye exiled? Is he not invited back to the barbecue? What's really good with dude? I would like to ask a question to the esteemed panel about can this particular piece right here serve our community as like I said, a case study for what to do right and what to do wrong. We get so many people out here wanting to chase the bag, want to be self-indulgent, don't want to do the work in the community, like brother Steph said, to make things better, build things up, make things more prosperous, progressive for the future. Can Kanye serve as a living example of what to do or what not to do in terms of how our people should step forward in this macro American society as they pursue their goals?
Well, I'll start. I think there has to be a balance. You know, you got to look at Kanye's early life and say, man, he was a hard worker, put a lot of time and effort into his craft. He became pretty much a genius in what he did, and he elevated himself, in that realm. So you got to take that part of his life and use that as motivation, in anything you do, regardless of whether it's music or anything else, right? But then you got to look at the other side of that coin and say, now, here's where he fell off. I can't make the same mistake. I got to be careful with my words. I got to make sure that my target audience is correct. What circles am I running in, right? Like all of those are the things you got to look at the second half, of his career, and learn from the mistakes that he made there. And one big thing that we got to understand about the community too is that it's not always all about the money. That's been conditioned in us to say that, you got to be the richest man. He made this comment that he's the richest black man since Mansa Musa, which is a lie, right? So that goes to show you he doesn't read, So the key is that how do you use that money that you make to your advantage, right? But is what you give back to your people mentally, socially, right, spiritually, that means more than having being a billionaire, in a capitalist society, right? What are you doing for others around you? That's what we got to understand as a people, because he's on a macro level with that idea, but on a micro level with that idea, we see stuff like that in our communities with how we exploit each other, in various ways in urban communities. We don't surround each other with positive individuals. We don't build our own businesses in our communities and stuff like that. So like we got to take those. There's key things in each one of in aspects of Kanye life that we got to take and learn from it.
So, Abe, what you think, man? Is this Casey's fall from stardom a life lesson for the rest of the community?
Yeah, definitely is. In the sense, not to censor anybody, but in a way where, like you said, we have to know how to move when we're in their culture. Behind closed doors, he's gonna have a lot of cheers and a lot of people saying, "Yeah, you right." But certain things they're not supposed to be said in public. You know what I mean? And that's what our parents were for. That's what our grandparents are for. You know what I'm saying? When you get out of line, they give you that look like, "Hey, don't be talking about what's going on in my house." You know what I'm saying? And so I think that it is a good teaching point for upcoming artists, for upcoming Black leaders in any aspect of entertainment, politics, industry, Fortune 500 companies. When you put words out there publicly, you got to anticipate a strong response. And definitely being a Black man, you are always going to be disposable in this American society. Especially looking at Bill Cosby, like they coming at this man 50 years later, locked him up and threw away the key. Like that's insane. And we see how fast our community dismissed him. Even looking at, prior to even his dismissal, when he called out the black community. Let's look at that. Like he said it's up to us black men to come together. He put his money up. He put his money up and said, I'm about to buy a network. And nobody else supported him. Nobody else said, oh, let me put 10 million. Let me put 20 million. Nobody wanted to touch him. So I just look at all these examples, seeing how the demise of black men have been, going back centuries. Everybody was cool. Even the Nation of Islam, they was cool with Malcolm until he started talking at UN. He said, wait a minute, black folks here, we the only ones going through this oppression. I met some folks down in South Africa. We need to come together and start having some tribunals. But like I said, I think that Kanye, right, as of now, he's not invited to this year's family reunion. But with some redemptive acts, you know what I'm saying? If he wants to take his money and come in the black community, maybe we vouch for him. Maybe. But as of now, I don't think he's ever going to get that public support until somebody else jumps out there and take that branch and be like, hey, Kanye, you can come work with us, but we're gonna keep you behind the scenes until people think it's good, and then we announce that you're the creditor for it. But I don't think nobody's gonna ever put him as the front face of anything or try to use him for any promotion. And unless he's delivering babies and ending, world hunger, nobody's going to support him. That is unfortunate, but that's the true reality.
Yes, sir. Yeah, he gotta be on a leash. If he coming back to the barbecue, he gotta be like the pit bull in the corner on a leash that nobody can go talk to. He can only go so far. He get yanked back by the neck. Brother Mozzie. That Doberman picture that don't know how to, heal. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
dogs. You know what I'm talking about. Brother Mozzie, your thoughts, man? Is this?
He's a case study.
Yes, a case study for what now?
That's it. That's it in a nutshell, man. But one of the things that we have to stop doing as a community is we have to stop being so forgiving to people who shit on us. Man. We got to stop it.
Nice.
That's it.
Love it. We have went past. We a little bit overtime on the Real HD show, the higher discussion. I want to thank all these brothers. I want to thank everybody that joined us on all our outlets. Tonight's episode was popping. I think we needed to have this conversation as a, more of a cathartic way or a very intellectual way of understanding the curious case that is Kanye West. And hopefully we can help our people avoid some of the very pitfalls that he's going through and what so many of us have struggled with on a regular basis. I mean, just turn your social media on, turn your phone on, turn the TV on, and you'll see all our people tripping all over themselves like they don't have any home training, like they wasn't raised a particular way to be endeared to their community and move around with self-respect, man. So for the panel, for myself, this has been the Real HD show. It has been it's been my pleasure to have you brothers on. As we always say on the Real HD show, please like, share, subscribe, blast us all over the place. This episode was dope. Please come back for more and more and more. And like, share, subscribe, heart, follow. We're pretty much everywhere. You can check us out. Real HD show. As we always say, peace and walk with power. We love y'all.